Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be reviewing the Revoltech Mirko from My Hero Academia. Now, I haven't watched or read My Hero in a very long time. I dropped it as it was still being written around the second internship arc. So I read a fair bit of it, as well as watched a fair bit of it. I dropped it around the overhaul arc. So I think it was season 3 of the show. And then just somewhere in the manga, and just sort of left it as it was. It's not like I hated it or anything, it's just that it stopped being super interesting to me around there, because up until then it was sort of like this growing spike of entertainment. But yeah, just sort of lost interest around there and just didn't pick up the series again. But now the manga has finished and the anime is going towards the ending at a pretty rapid pace, I believe, and so it will be finished relatively soon, like say in the next season or so. Correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I don't read it or watch it anymore. But it doesn't mean I didn't like it, I just sort of lost interest in the franchise. But one of the things that sort of pulls me in, that makes me want to get into it, are some of the later characters, like Mirko here. I don't know what sort of capacity she has in terms of the plot, I don't know how important she is, I just know that her design is fantastic, and I know that they've run with that for all manner of mass media, all sorts of merchandise, and worked her into every single facet that they can for figurines, or at least they're trying to. And the Revoltech is the latest of those. It's the first posable figure of Mirko out, and it's probably the only one that they'll need to do, honestly, because this is a fantastic figure. Now, something to note, this is a Revoltech and not an Amazing Yamaguchi. Same company of Kyoto, but the Revoltech line are more anime accurate, whereas the Amazing Yamaguchi, they're designed by Yamaguchi himself, who redesigns the characters in a very exaggerated way that blends well with the hyper-articulation of that line, whereas Revoltech are still pretty damn articulated, but are more anime accurate. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's have a look at Mirko. So out of the box, here's what she comes with. So we've got the figure itself, 6 faces, as well as several paired hands, and a single pointer hand, an alternate hairpiece, as well as a stand. Looking at other Amazing Yamaguchi figures, this sort of looks like a light load for accessories. In terms of faces, really good, but like alternative accessories, nothing too crazy. But I think that's fine with Mirko as a character, because to my understanding everything is very physical and athletic based. So at most I think you could probably do like a ground shatter effect or something, or like a wind effect for like movement. But other than that, I don't think they could have done too much for this figure in terms of like, oh, they're holding something in particular, like special MacGuffin or something like that. I don't think that the character works like that, to my understanding. But from what I've seen, this is more than enough to get what you need out of the figure. That being said, there is a pre-order bonus face for Mirko. I did not get that one, but it is to be noted, Kyoto love doing that stuff. Sometimes it's a really vital accessory, sometimes it's a really superfluous accessory. Regardless, sometimes it is a little bit annoying. But anyway, taken out of the box, here is Mirko, and she looks really, really good. I was a bit worried that this was going to be one of those figures where the big joint cuts along all the flesh would really be bothersome, but I've sort of softened on that sort of philosophy for posable figures over the years, and the sacrifice of sort of joint cuts, even though they are pretty good on this figure, for better articulation is something I'm willing to take most of the time. And I think that this figure nails it for the most part. There is some limitations to it that I'm not a huge fan of, but in general, the other stuff you get out of it is really, really good. What paint is on the figure is really, really nice. I like the detail on the face, the ears, the hair. There is a little bit of a paint error on the eyelashes that are on the hairpiece, where the black should have continued closer to the hair itself, but there is a lot of like the creamish colored hair still left on that little eyelash wick. But other than that, all the detail work is really, really good and clean on the figure, so not too much to complain about, and I can fix that myself. Now onto posability. So Mirko has got a ball joint in the head and neck. It is somewhat limited due to the hair, which can be moved out in these 2 little bundles and rotated around on a hinge. And the head, I wish, could move a little bit further up so she could look straight up, because I think you could get some nicer dynamic poses out of it. But that is probably my biggest complaint of the posability. Everything else is pretty good, as you will see. So the arm can rotate all the way around. There is a little bit of a butterfly, nothing too crazy, but it gets what you need for her smaller frame. There's a bend at the elbow, and the way Revoltech joints sort of work, it's almost like a ball joint as well. So there's a bit of a forearm swivel, ball hinge at the wrist, ball joint in the chest, which allows for some rocking and side to side. And a lot of these joints are quite tight and squeak a lot. You can loosen them up if you'd like with some silicone grease. I didn't, but I might eventually, just to make it a bit of a smoother experience. But the posability that you can get out of this is really, really good. They can do the splits that far, kick forward and back that far. I wish they could kick back a little bit more as well, but I understand why it was cut like that. There is a thigh swivel at the boot cut, which is nice, as well as a bend at the knee. There's a bend at the toe, as well as a hinge at the ankle, which allows you to pivot it around if you rotate it just right. So I wish that was redesigned just a tiny bit as well. But in general, the posability is really good, especially if you work at it. I'm trying to get better at dynamic poses for my action figures, and I think Mirko is one of those figures that makes me really want to improve. And watching Jobby the Hong's review on her also helped with that, because I was like, this figure can achieve a lot and I'm not doing it just right. I think I can get more out of this. And with her accessories, you can get a lot of expressiveness too. So she's got a basic teeth grinning smile out of the box, which is nice. She's got a more neutral smile. She's got a mouth open asymmetrical smile, which I think is really, really nice. She's got a pupils dilated sort of shouting face, looks really, really good. And she's got the same expression with her eyes looking to the side. And she's also got this really sort of seductive looking smile face, which looks really, really good as well. And all of these faces are compatible with the windswept hair as well. The hairpiece is a little bit loose, but I can fit it in just fine. It's just something to be noted that every time you sort of move it around, there's a good chance the hair will probably fall out. But with all of those faces and the hands, you can get Mirko into a variety of expressive, really dynamic, and really, really cool poses. The base also works really well in this regard. Really helps get her into the air, put her in slightly dynamic or awkward poses, and help with the weight distribution, because her hair can be quite heavy at times and the legs can only hold up so much. It is a bit of a balancing act to put her up without the base, but it is possible in a lot of poses. But the base is very appreciated. You might need to tighten it up with a screwdriver, but in general it gets the job done pretty well. And I had a lot of fun posing the figure, even if the figure fought back a little bit with some of the tight joints. But again, after seeing Jobby's review of the figure, it really, really wanted me to get better at posing. And I think I did pretty well here. A good variety of static as well as action poses. And I think she takes to posing really, really well. And she's pretty damn photogenic, and really helped reignite a passion for a lot of action figures, even if I'm not really, really into the source material itself. I think it was really, really fun playing around with Mirko and figuring out what this figure could do, what I could do with camera angles, lighting, all sorts of things. So I think that this was a really good learning experience, and I really, really enjoyed the figure. It almost made me want to go out and buy a lot of the other Revoltechs and Amazing Yamaguchis that they've done so far in the My Hero line, but because the SH Figure Arts line is kicking off and I've heard they're really, really good, I wanted to hold off for now. But I do still kind of want to get the All Might and the Endeavour, although I have heard they are going to do an SHF All Might, but I think his design will be quite a bit different. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That was my review of the Revoltech Mirko. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.